I'm going to get whatever I want. I have to get.
How you know
We
that?
made love. We made love. That's
Who
why
you made love with?
Diddy.
Diddy's in hot water all over again. On top of everything else on his plate, now he's facing some serious SA accusations. And these aren't just rumors, especially with the amount of evidence stacked up against him. This might just be the last straw that sends his whole career crashing down. Diddy is facing new allegations as a man named Rodney Jones just filed a lawsuit against him, accusing him of SA amongst other horrible things. And when I say horrible things, I'm talking murder, blackmail, and things so dark you can't even say it outside. And all of this is putting Diddy at the top of the darkest celebrity list, right next to Jeffrey Epstein. Rodney is a music producer, and one of his most recent works includes 9 songs on Diddy's The Love album, Off the Grid. According to Rodney, during the time that they had worked together, Diddy had done a lot of shady things to him, and the biggest one yet was Diddy SAing him. It may have taken him a while, but Rodney is ready to share all that happened to him. And he's spilling a lot of tea on Diddy and his accomplices, which includes Diddy's son, Justin Dior Combs, Combs Global Enterprise, and Universal Music Group, just to name a few, with a boatload of receipts to back up all his claims. First of all, Rodney had accused Diddy of forcing him to find call girls on the street. And no, Diddy didn't force Rodney to find these girls because he wanted them himself. Instead, he wanted Rodney to do all sorts of crazy things with these girls while Diddy watched in the background. And to make sure that Rodney did exactly like Diddy wanted, he would spike his drinks with, stuff. So Rodney wouldn't have any control over himself, and Diddy and the others could do whatever they wanted to him. And there's more. Jones says Diddy brought prostitutes to his house in Miami, and on one occasion, Jones says he was present at the house and was drugged and possibly raped. And Diddy didn't just stop here. Apparently, he also got involved in the so-called fun as well, as Rodney claims that sometimes Diddy would touch him in inappropriate places when he least expected it. Like that wasn't bad enough, Diddy would also walk around the house in his birthday suit when Rodney would come over to work on his album. This was Diddy's own twisted attempt of trying to entice Rodney, as he believed that Diddy was trying to groom him to become just like him. When Diddy couldn't get Rodney to come over to his side, he decided to bring out the big guns, aka Stevie J, a man that Diddy knew Rodney looked up to so much and wanted to be like. Rodney claims that Diddy had shot hours of illegal footage of Stevie getting down with other guys, and to convince Rodney to come over to his side, he showed him these videos and forced him to watch them. Apparently, since Rodney's idol could do it too, why couldn't he? And then went on to promise Rodney that he'd win Producer of the Year at the Grammys if he accepted his advances and did what he asked him to. Stevie J wasn't the only celebrity Diddy had intimate videos of, as Diddy had hidden cameras in practically every single room in all of his homes. With these cameras, Diddy was able to capture dozens of celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and athletes engaging in insane acts just like Stevie J had. And this was allegedly done without their consent. With these videos, Diddy was able to blackmail whoever he wanted, whenever he wanted, and he never took no for an answer. He became so power obsessed that he thought he could get away with anything because no one was there to stop him. While living and traveling with Mr. Combs, Mr. Jones discovered that Mr. Combs has hidden cameras in every room of his homes. Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs has recordings of defendants Lucian Charles Grange, Ethiopia Haptomariam, as well as other celebrities, music label executives, politicians, and athletes. Upon information and belief, these individuals were recorded without their knowledge and consent, as is the case with the homosexual tape of Stevie J that Mr. Combs provided to Mr. Jones. Mr. Combs possesses compromising footage of every person that has attended his freak-off parties and his house parties. Upon information and belief, due to this treasure trove of evidence he has in his possession, Mr. Combs believes that he is above the law and is untouchable. Looking back at how Diddy made a name for himself in the music industry, his involvement in things like this shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. After all, this was how Diddy got started in this whole quote-unquote business of his. When Diddy had started his career in his early 20s, he worked as an intern at Uptown Records. He was only able to keep his job for 2 years before he got fired and had to move on to other things. But get this, barely a year after getting fired, he found his own record label, Bad Boy Records, and his record became a hit right off the bat. Now, this raised a lot of eyebrows, and for tons of valid reasons. First of all, Diddy knew nothing about the music industry and how to succeed in it. All he had to guide him was his dream of becoming successful and no money to back it up. So, how does a 24-year-old nobody who worked as an intern get the capital to kickstart his own record label? The answer? Clive Davis. Clive is an American record producer and Grammy winner who has been in the industry far longer than some of our parents have even been alive. During his time on top, Clive found some of the biggest artists the world has ever known. I'm talking Aretha Franklin, Bruce Springsteen, Whitney Houston, Dionne Warwick, Alicia Keys, Usher, so many others. Although he only came out as bisexual in 2013, apparently he's been that way for much longer than he wants anyone to believe. Word around the street is that he was the person to pick Diddy up and put him on his feet. In exchange for the chance at a successful career, Diddy allowed Clive to groom him and expose him to the dark side of fame. For decades, people have talked about how Diddy got his 1994 Bad Boy deal by being on his knees for Clive Davis. After going through all he went through to get fame, Diddy wasn't about to let Rodney use him without paying the same sacrifice he did. And even though Rodney refused all his advances, giving up wasn't an option. So Diddy just kept coming up with newer ideas, like him recruiting Young Miami to S.A. Rodney too. According to Rodney, on Thanksgiving Day 2022, Diddy had invited his cousin Young Miami over to his house while he was with Rodney. When Young Miami showed up, Rodney was drunk, but he wasn't too far gone as he was able to refuse the drugs that Diddy had offered him. Rodney then tried to use the restroom, but Young Miami came in and tried to force herself on him. Even after he pushed her off him and stepped outside, she still kept at it in the presence of Diddy and his staff. On Thanksgiving Day 2022, Mr. Jones was in Mr. Combs' house located in Miami, Florida. Young Miami and her female cousins were also present. While using the restroom, Young Miami's cousin burst into the bathroom and began groping Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones believes that Mr. Combs sent her in there to sexually assault Mr. Jones. As he entered the bathroom, she dropped to her knees and began performing oral sex on Mr. Jones's exposed penis. Mr. Jones pushed her away and exited the bathroom. Young Miami's cousin did not accept Mr. Jones's rejection, as she proceeded to follow Mr. Jones out of the bathroom. She started undressing and attempting to straddle him and have sex with him in the presence of Mr. Combs and his staff. If y'all thought this was bad, wait till you hear what I'm about to say next. With everything Rodney passed through in the hands of Diddy and his friends, you might be wondering, why didn't he just leave sooner? After all, he wasn't getting paid for overtime or anything like that, as he also revealed that Diddy had refused to pay him exactly what he was owed. But that's beside the point. According to Rodney, he couldn't leave because he was scared for his life. He had seen Diddy take the life of someone else and didn't want to be a victim himself. He explained that on September 12, 2022, Diddy held a writers and producers camp where he, his son Justin, Rodney, Justin's friend, and a whole bunch of other people were present. Apparently, one evening during the camp, Diddy got in a heated argument with Justin and his friend. At first, the conversation started inside the studio, but then it was moved to the bathroom. Barely minutes after all three of them had entered the bathroom, gunshots started ringing out. And Rodney could hear them clearly because he was just 2 feet away from the bathroom. But they didn't know this. Once the gunshots had stopped, Diddy and Justin walked out of the bathroom alone, with Justin's friend lying on the floor in a pool of blood. And when the police arrived, Diddy gave strict instructions to everyone. No one was allowed to say that he was there, and that was it. This incident increased Rodney's fear of Diddy, so he didn't want to say or do anything that would make Diddy mad and make himself a possible target. After all, Diddy had made it very clear to him that he had a lot of power in the music industry and with law enforcement. And if he wanted, he could make anyone disappear, including Rodney. As the head of his security team, Fahim Muhammad could make anyone disappear. The shooting in Chalice recording studios confirmed Mr. Combs' statements. These statements reinforced Mr. Jones' fear of Mr. Combs and strengthened Mr. Combs' dominion and control of Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones was terrified of Mr. Combs. He felt like he could not tell him no. Mr. Combs consistently made it clear that he has immense power in the music industry and with law enforcement. Mr. Combs made it clear that his head of security, Fahim Muhammad, Mr. Muhammad, had the power to make people and problems disappear. These are just a few of the revelations Rodney made in his claims, and with the amount of evidence and footage he has lined up, it's hard for anyone not to believe him. Now, it's only a matter of time before Diddy meets his end just like R. Kelly did. And word around the street is, he doesn't plan on going down alone.